I'd like to call this meeting to order and welcome everyone.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the schedule of meetings adopted at the organizational meeting held January 5th, 2022. Adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Kenilworth Board of Education has been provided to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the local source on January 20th, 2022. The meeting location has been changed via notice on May 5th, 2022. A copy has been filed with the Kenilworth Borough Clerk, posted in the board office, the Kenilworth Borough Hall, Brearley and Harding Schools, as is provided by the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you, Mr. Ganella. Please rise and join us in the salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ganella, can we please have roll call?
Biner.
Here.
David.
Here.
Drogan.
Here.
Tabitha.
Here.
Jankowicz.
Here.
Ladati. Panici.
Here.
Tiers. Zimmerman. We have quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Ganella. At this time, we would like to ask for a motion to receive the minutes from April 11th, 2022 and April 28th, April 28th, 2022. Can I please have a motion?
A motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Biner, seconded by Mr. Jankowicz. All those in favor of receiving the minutes from April 11th and 28th, 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion's carry. Mr. Ganella, do we have any correspondence this evening?
Yes, we have one item of correspondence this evening. We have a letter dated April 21st from Ms. Paula Bloom from the New Jersey Department of Education to Mr. Arlington regarding the district's New Jersey CUSAC placement results.
Okay, thank you. Can we please have a motion to accept the monthly correspondence?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Haberther. All those in favor of accepting public correspondence, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion's carry. Thank you. Up next, we'll have the superintendent's report and presentations. Mr. Arlington.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Davies is going to begin our presentation tonight with some introductions.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Good evening. I wanted to say how happy I am to be here tonight because on the night of our AP Computer Science exam, we have several of our students who took the AP Computer Science exam today and who have been enrolled in our AP Computer Science program under the tutelage of Mr. Ulasevich. And I thought this was an apropos time to kind of highlight some of what we're doing in STEM and with computer science as we embark next year on some really exciting plans regarding esports and middle school STEM and doing a lot of work in those areas. Thank you for your support in that regarding the budget. We're able to highlight what our students are doing in the actual courses. So Mr. Yu is here tonight to introduce his students and to talk a little bit about what they submitted to the AP program via AP Computer Science Principles. So Mr. Yu, if you can come up and talk a little about the course and what your students have been up to.
So the AP exam for this course is a little bit different. It's not just a written exam or a multiple choice exam the day of. They also work on a portfolio section where they make a socially useful app, and they're given about 12 class periods or 12 hours to get that done over the course of a few iterations. So they learn design thinking, prototyping, etc. So the students here, I have Diego Bendezu and Ryan Gensch work together on one app, as well as Luke Padula and Vaughn Marenka. You're allowed to work with someone else because in the real world of programming, you're generally working on a project with other people. So you kind of learn how to work as a team, how to kind of divide and conquer the task at hand. I believe we have the videos.
We do.
Yes.
So I guess, which one is
Which one do you want first?
roll the dice. Which one's first? So that looks...
My video or learning Spanish?
So let's do the learning Spanish one. And Diego, do you want to come up here and talk about it while it's presenting? You can just describe what's going on, bud. It's your app.
Alright, so in the app, there's basically a list of questions that are randomized. There's about 10 questions, but when the game starts, you only get randomized 5 questions. So when the game there's a button called Start Over. When it starts over, there's only 5 questions presented to the user, and the user has to answer them. And whenever the user checks the answer, if it's right, it gets 1 point, but if it's wrong, it deducts 1 point off the score. And when it gets to a total of 5 answered questions, at the end you'll see in the video that it'll say congrats, you finished the game with your score. That's about it.
That's well timed.
So another challenge of it is that the video they have to submit has to be less than 1 minute. So they have to very concisely show what their app does or doesn't allow the user to do. And in that one, you handle some errors well, where if someone doesn't type something in, it like warns them. So you have to count for these unique edge cases in the debugging process during development. So
Can you just real quick talk about why or how you came up with that idea? Like, what was the genesis of that?
Like what idea? Like the app?
Why an app about Spanish language?
Well, so the app, the purpose was so, it like basically you get to learn how to, how to like translate in Spanish, English, like words and phrases, such as like one of the questions is, I don't know if I could read it, but one of the questions is like, how do you say hello in Spanish? And you have to translate it. So it lets you practice how to translate Spanish, English phrases into Spanish. That's about it.
Amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're up, kid.
So my partner and I created a journal app where there will be 10 randomized prompts that will be pop up through every single time that you start up the app, or you click the button that says new prompt. So then you will fill it out to however you feel, and then there are also 4 emotions that you would select from: happy, neutral, sad, or angry, that you like correlate with how you feel that day. Once you do that, you submit that button, and then you will have a history. In that history, you can see all of your past prompts that contain all the information and what the prompt actually was. And then if you don't like those ideas, because you want to at least release your anger or sadness, because you just want to like let those bad emotions go, you can click either button below, and there's also a complete wipe history button below. Every single time you go through it, everything will be there, and you can't make any changes. So everything you do is finalized. And if you try to submit a journal without filling out either category, it'll give you an error saying you need to fill this out. So this way everything's according and everything's together. That's about the gist of it.
This idea come to life.
So me and my partner Luke kind of struggled for an idea for a while, but we talked with Mr. Yu a bit, and we came to the conclusion that a lot of people, especially teenagers, struggle with like articulating their feelings and putting it out there. So we thought this would be the best options. This way people, like, if you don't have anyone to talk to, at least you have yourself to like reflect on. That's about it.
Like a journal.
So what you're seeing is obviously like what's called the user interface. So it's what you see. A lot of what they work on has to do with the back end of it. And this class is a culmination of something called drag and drop development. It's an easy introduction into the world of computer science, where they still learn the principles, such as like what types of data you can work with, how to iterate and go through that data, how to save it in a database. What the app might not show in the video is that they can close their app and go back to it another time. So that's saving it in the cloud is a principle they learned, as well as basic concepts like creating a formula. How do you do one task a bunch of different times and not write that code a bunch of different times? So working efficiently while also getting the job done and making an app that is socially useful in a way that, should they be able to develop this on an actual programming language, can have some sort of impact on those around them or on a more global scale.
Thank you.
Mr. Davies, just a quick question
Yeah.
for you gentlemen. Congratulations. Did you consider maybe sharing this with your classmates or the community here to kind of get the app out there? And no? Yes? Did you guys consider that? Maybe sharing the app, or in a way, did you guys ever talk about that?
We don't really know if that's possible, but amongst our classmates, Mr. Yu did have
Yeah.
us peer reflect and give each other thoughts and ideas and run through each other's apps to see
Yeah.
how we liked it and how we like responded to it.
Yeah. And you could maybe possibly inspire your other classmates to join the program if you shared. Something to think about, maybe?
I think it's a great idea, and I just appreciative of Mr. Yu because over his 4 years, this is his 4th year as a teacher here, he's really developed the AP Computer Science program.
Yeah.
This is the 2nd year that AP Computer Science Principles is running, and there's vast improvement between last year and this year. And we were just talking today about where the program is headed, and we have a lot of great ideas. Like now we're at a point as a district and as a school where we're taking it even further. In fact, Mr. Springsteen's also here, who's going to be taking our esports program further and heading in that direction. So between web design and video game design and computer science, AP Computer Science, we have a really strong program building, and these 4 gentlemen I really appreciate. And I love this project too because it's not just the computer science, it's also something that's socially needed.
Yeah.
So they're looking to identify what does society need, like what do people want, and they really focused on their peers, and I think that's really neat. What would our peers want to use? What kind of app would they want on their phones? That's, I think, the beauty of the course. So these were submitted last week, and we'll see how they do on that AP test. Yes. But congratulations to these 4 gentlemen, and
Paula has a question.
Say maybe before you go share, you ought to copyright that if you made it yourself.
True.
Good idea.
do we have certificates?
We do.
We do?
We do. They're in your box.
Sorry.
But we're also, I know some parents are here, so we're happy to take pictures too, Mr. Davies.
Absolutely, yeah. Just going to call each gentleman up real quick.
I signed 4, they were in my folder. Yeah. Want me to do pictures, or
apologize,
you
Mr.
take them for you, or?
There we go. All right. Picture?
Yeah.
So if I could just call up Vaughn Marenka, congratulations.
Vaughn,
Stay
stay,
here
Sue.
for a picture.
You can take a picture. I know
Luke,
your
would you
mom,
allow?
everybody wants pictures, take pictures.
Ryan Gensch. And Diego Bendezu.
You guys can go up, take pictures.
It was 20 pounds.
Synonym?
You don't quite even 20 pounds, really? You just feel that way because you're tired. Probably both, huh?
All right. Thanks, gentlemen. We appreciate you sharing your projects, and we look forward to some of the great apps you're going to seemingly create in the future. So well done.
Congrats.
You are more than welcome to stay, but you're also more than welcome to leave, too.
Bye. Thank you guys, good luck. Thank you.
Okay, as part of my superintendent's report, if I can turn your attention to this month's HIB report, you'll see a couple founded cases. So in starting with the chart, that's landscape and orientation. You see one founded case at Harding for the month of May, and there are 4 founded cases at Burley. So I'll give you a moment to look over those. And if you have questions, comments, or concerns, I'm happy to address them. So the consequences and interventions for those founded cases can be found on the kind of master chart that's stapled there too. But seeing no questions, just a reminder that later in the meeting, you'll be voting to affirm, deny, or modify the cases for March. Good.
Everybody good? Do you need another minute? We can.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah,
People's
if you-
reading
we need
speed, so-
time, we can wait. Good? Good?
Okay.
Mark, hold on, everybody good? Okay, good, thank you.
It's
Oh,
just
you're
one-
still reading Colette?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
What's going on?
It was like the middle school, really, there's no high school.
Correct.
Okay.
Just a note on the personnel section of the agenda. You'll notice the retirement of Mr. Luciani. I'd like to thank Brian for his years of service and acknowledge his retirement in June of 2023 that you'll be approving tonight. Brian began his tenure in Kenilworth in 2003 as the assistant principal of David Burley. He became Burley's principal in 2009 and has served as the director of academics since 2017. So good luck to Mr. Luciani.
Thank you. Good.
That concludes my report. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arlington. We will now have report of committees, review of resolutions, and board discussion. First up, Mr. David is going to present for Mr. Ladati for finance and facilities.
Thank you, Michelle. First item, the 2022-2023 budget was approved by the board at the public hearing on April 28th. Mr. Ganella and the Borough Clerk have certified the taxes for the upcoming school year. The user-friendly budget has been posted on our website. The transition between budget planning and budget implementation has started. The majority of this evening's finance and facility resolutions deal with planning for the upcoming school year. And lastly, on July 1st, 2022, we will have health benefits renewal. The committee met on May 5th to renewal marketing report from Brown & Brown. Benefits advisors, Mr. Ciardella, reviewed the options available to the board. The Aetna renewal was high and out of line with our experience. It is the committee's recommendation to transition benefits from Aetna to Horizon. The Horizon proposal was significantly better than Aetna's, and they have provided the district with equal to or better than documentation. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for Mr. David regarding the finance and facilities report?
Just a question for resolution 9. The banks that we use every once in a while, this would be for Vince. You do check once in a while for who gives the best rate, like some banks are better than others.
Yes.
On occasion.
Yes, yeah. But we have to go through an RFP process, which usually by the time we go through the RFP process, the rates change. So, so it's a little,
Some banks are better than others. is
yes,
what
they
I'm
are.
saying.
Yes,
So
they are.
You do
Yes,
check
they
that
are.
once in a while.
yes.
Get the best rate, thank you.
Just actually, real quick on the benefits piece, with the term that Mr. David used, same or better.
Equal
Equal
to
or better.
or better than, right.
Didn't we have an issue with something like that a couple of years ago, where there was a claim that it wasn't equal or better? And I guess my question is was this properly vetted? I assume it was.
Yeah, yes, it was. If you, I think I know which case you're talking about, and we're convinced that that wasn't equal or better to. The board just decided to take care of it
Okay.
a different way. We felt that it was the doctor who was at fault and how they processed the claims.
Okay.
If you recall, that was
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
more of
okay.
a doctor issue as opposed to the
Plan issue.
carrier plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, we will have personnel and management, Mr. Haberther.
Yes, thank you very much. Quite a few tonight, so I'll go through them as efficiently as possible. The first three, 25, 26, and 27, are approvals to hire a Spanish ESL, advanced and art teacher. 28 through 30 are the resignations and retirements. 31 through 34 are transfers of certified staff between the schools. 35 is a maternity leave approval. 36 is classroom coverage for an unexpected resignation, approving teachers to cover and their related stipends. 37, and the next several are annual employment resolutions, so 37 is the approval of certified instructional staff. 38 is the approval of administrative staff. 39 is the approval of secretarial and clerical staff. Resolution 40 is confidential secretaries and non-bargaining unit. 41 is the approval of the custodial and maintenance staff. 42 is the approval for Mr. Ganella as a school business administrator and board secretary. Resolution 43 is the approval of Mr. Arlington to continue on as a superintendent of schools. Resolution 44 is the paraprofessional and lunch aides. 45 and 46 is the approval and appointment of the school physician, doctors, and dentists. 47 is appointees for the 22-23 school year. Resolution 48 is the approval of home instruction. And last but not least, Resolution 49 is approval of substitute staff.
Anyone questions for Mr. Haberther regarding personnel and management? No? Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jankowicz, curriculum and instruction.
Sure. Just two resolutions. Resolution 50 is the adoption of science curriculum in 6th grade and 8th grade. And then resolution 51 is the IP report from March 2022. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone questions regarding curriculum and instruction for Mr. Jankowicz? No? Okay, we will move on to old business. Anyone old business?
Oh, Dr. Finch,
Oh,
before
sure.
we move on, I didn't go over the resolutions under finance and facilities. Do you want me to do that? or-
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure,
All
if
right,
you'd like.
so-
I mean, I think you recapped it in the report, but if you want to go through them, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, so resolutions 1 through 4, as Mr. Ladati likes to say, are the standard financial resolutions that appear each month. Resolution 5 is approving certain conferences and workshops and travel. Resolution 6 approves the 4th of July fireworks, the borough to use our grounds for that, which will be held on Saturday, June 25th, with a rain date of July 10th. Number 7 is for NJSIAA membership, approves the membership for the district. Number 8 is, authorizes superintendent business administrator to implement the 2022-2023 budget pursuant to local and state policies. Number 9 approves the depositories, which Mrs. Drogan just asked a question on. Number 10 is designates the business administrator as the Board of Education's claims auditor. Let's see, Resolution 11 is tax transfer authority. Resolution number 12 requests federal and state funds. Resolution 13 is the appointment of the district certified purchasing agent. 14 is state contract vendors. 15 is educational data services vendors. 16 approves the Middlesex Regional Co-op. 17 is also related to co-op pricing agreement. 18 is approving vendors for tax shelter 403B. 19 is our tax payment schedule to the borough. 20 is for approving Computer Solutions as a supplier of budgetary accounting, personnel software. 21 is the Genesis Student Information Software approval. 22 is residency investigating services approval. 23 is food service management company approval. 24 is the healthcare renewal, and that is all. Yep.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions about those resolutions? No? Okay, anyone have anything under old business? Okay, for old business, just an update, the TAB committee, which met in the beginning of the year, will meet again in this May, and then we will report out what happens at that meeting. Anyone new business? Yes.
Okay. I have 2 items that I wanted to bring up. First, the Tim Carbone Memorial Scholarship Committee held its annual clothing drive this past Saturday. We had a large student contingency to help us with the clothing drive. So on behalf of the committee, I want to thank the students who participated. It was really a big help, and they did a terrific job. So again, we really appreciate their help. And then the second item has to do with the Brearley Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame committee held 2 meetings over the past couple of months. We considered candidates to be honored, and more will be more to come in the upcoming months on potential, the candidates that are being selected. So anyway, more to come on that in the next month or 2.
Thank you.
Exciting. We would like to just take the opportunity really quickly to thank Harding and Brearley PTOs, students, parents, and families for your generosity and all of your participation during Teacher Appreciation Week, and all the Kenilworth Public Schools teachers and team members for your hard work and dedication every day. We would also like to recognize and thank our principals, vice principals, nurses, and secretaries for all of your hard work, and also the KPAG student parents and families for the activities that they planned during our Autism Awareness Month. So thank you, as always, for your participation. Anyone else? No? Okay. At this point, I will ask someone if they would like to make a motion to open up the meeting for public comment. Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Drogan, seconded by Mr. Haberthor. All those in favor of opening the meeting to the public, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, ayes have it, motions carry.
Public comments will now be accepted. The Board of Education sets the limit for the public to speak at the Board of Education to 5 minutes per person unless prior permission has been granted by the Board of Education to extend time pursuant to Board of Education Bylaw 0167. For the record, please indicate your name and address prior to making your comment.
Thank you, Mr. Ganella. Go ahead, thank you.
Carolyn DePapas, 31 North 21st Street. If you remember the last time I spoke with you, it was about giving our girls the opportunity to play baseball. One thing I really want to make clear, baseball and softball are 2 different sports, and I am not in any way suggesting that softball be eliminated for the girls. In fact, I saw, when I was running up the boulevard one day, I saw Kenilworth travel team, softball travel team practicing. They looked great. They were in uniform and they looked terrific. And my understanding is, I don't know that much about it, but it's a very well-organized sport. And in fact, they go to the Olympics ultimately, right? If our Kenilworth softball team makes it to the Olympics and brings back a medal, I would expect Kenilworth to throw a huge party and a parade for them. So I will be right out there cheering them along. Okay. That being said, I don't think softball will ever become a professional sport. It just doesn't have that in it. So those girls and young women who would like to learn and play baseball, I feel should have that opportunity. And it might be a while, and I'm hoping that I'm not the only one here in New Jersey. I'm hoping there are other people in the country with this idea. You know what? How come there's no women's Major League Baseball? Because, you know, they were always playing softball. So that's my thoughts, that if somehow those, you know, students, women students, girl students who would like to learn and play baseball get that opportunity. Not replacing softball, a different sport. So let me see if I said. Basically, that's my idea.
Well, thank you, Ms. Pappas, for your comment.
Let's see if there was anything else
gonna
that I
respond
put
a little
down.
Sure, sure.
Ms. Pappas, just to kind of reflect on what you said last month and this month, and to like problematize the conversation a little bit, I think 2 things to keep in mind around this request, which I respect. One is that we're a small school, right? And so small schools, that provides us with some
Limited fund-
affordances.
Limited funds?
provides us with some affordances and some limitations. So not funding wise, but just in terms of the student population. So if we had baseball, let's say, we would be taking from other teams, right? So like if we had a field hockey team, let's say in the fall, we might not be able to run a field hockey team, a girls soccer team, and a cheerleading squad because there are only so many students. Does that make sense? In a small school. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. And the second thing is, I know you and I have met and talked about this privately about it being a club versus a team. And you know, one of the biggest challenges there is that who would we play, right? So it kind of has to start as a club. Otherwise, we wouldn't have teams to compete against unless other teams in the county and the division also started girls baseball teams. So those are just two things to sort of complexify the conversation a little bit and to think about as part of your argument.
As I listen to a lot of what's going on in these meetings, I realize that running a high school, a grade school and a high school is no simple matter, and there are a lot of complications and things that I have no concept of, right? But I just want to, I'm 78 and I'm planning to stay around at least another 30 years because I had an old aunt who stayed to 103 and I'm gonna beat her out and live to be 108. Before I check out, I am really hoping that, and this could be 20 years from now, there's a WMLB. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Pappas. Thank you for your comment.
If you can help me in any way in that process.
I have 30 years to figure it out. So
Yes, thank you so much.
You know, we should, just what she's talking about, we should mention that this year marks 50 years since Title IX.
Yeah.
And if you know Title IX, you know how younger girls probably don't know, but I know my generation, when I think of the girls I went to school with, which was pre-Title IX, or just after Title IX, there were some really good female, they were better than the guys. Unfortunately, there just wasn't the sports available that, back in the day that did today, but it's been 50 years with Title IX, so just mention that.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks. Anyone else would anyone like to make a comment? Can't speak tonight.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Bob Herbert. I live at 14 North 12th Street, Kenilworth. I moved to Kenilworth back in 1988. I have one child. Next Wednesday, I'll be graduating from Rutgers College in New Brunswick, which I'm very excited about. But that's a little bit about myself. But as a taxpayer from 1988, I have maybe a half a dozen or so questions, and I'm just asking the question. I'm not looking to go back and forth with a debate or here to argue. I just want some answers, that's all. I'm a little confused. And the subject is about this teaching gender identity in the grammar school. My first question is, and I don't know if you guys would want to respond or have me answer all the questions and then respond. That's, however you guys want to do it. This is your house. Why do we need gender introduced at a grammar school level at 5, 6 years old, 7 years old? That's my first question. As a taxpayer, I feel I deserve an answer. Because I do contribute to the school and I'm proud to do that. You guys got some great programs going on. Tonight was an example with these 4 gentlemen. They did a great job. Where are we getting the funds to pay for the literature and the books and teaching our teachers how to introduce this to these grammar school kids? That's my second question. Feel free to cut in anytime you guys want. And then can you guys provide me with some documentation of when and if this goes through next year, what's going to be taught in the class? Can I get some, something on paper that I could read? And as board members, do you think this should be a private matter at grammar school? And when I say a private matter, I mean at home, not in the school. And did you guys try to object with our politicians that it's too early of a stage for our children at that age to be introduced. And the reason why I say that, think about life in general. We have a rule, you can't start school until a certain age, right? Can't get a job until you're a certain age. You can't smoke or drink until you're a certain age. Can't join the service until a certain age. So my point is, there's a time and place for everything. Between the television, social media, and when they get to the high school program with sex education, I'm 62 years old. I remember when I was in high school back in the 70s, you know, they told you a little bit about the birds and the bees in the high school level, not in grammar school level. And I just want to make myself clear. Each and every one of us and every human being on this earth has a right to choose what they want to be and what they believe in. That's their right, because none of us have a right to judge that. My point is, this kind of education should not be taught in grammar school, and our tax dollars for the education should be used in other directions than this. You know, there's more things that we can do that would be better for our younger children, to prepare them for the middle school and the high school, go off to college and life. But at grammar school level, children, you know, under 7 and under, I believe it's way off base, you know. And I'd like to just share, I do a lot of reading, a lot of research. Most recently, back in 1998, there was a court case that a young man, 17 years old, committed a serious crime. He was sentenced 45 years to jail. And just last week, he applied for an appeal to reduce his sentence. And the judge reduced it from 45 years to 30 years, felt that he served his sentence for the reason that when he committed this serious crime, he was only 17 years old. And the judge says that there's science, that even at 17 years old, your mind is not fully developed. And with that said, how can a 5, 6, or 7-year-old comprehend gender identity? You're taking it away from the parents. And I know you guys, your hands are tied. This comes down from the state level, you know.
Bob, I'm sorry to interrupt, so it's 5
Sure.
minutes. Would you want to respond?
Yeah, so congratulations to you and your son on his
Thank
graduation.
you.
But I'd like to just use this opportunity to share some things that I've been thinking about around this topic. So I just organized some writing over this weekend just to help myself flesh out what's becoming a commonly misinterpreted topic for some and a cause of consternation for others. So this clarification rests on the assumption you know that the state of New Jersey does not dictate specific curriculum or instructional resources. So the things we use to teach the curriculum, those are locally determined decisions. Instead, the state mandates New Jersey learning standards by outlining what students should know and be able to do each year they are in school, pre-K through 12. So those standards, like around gender identity, a standard like compose and decompose the number 10 in kindergarten. The district determines how to unpack that standard and what the learning looks like for 5-year-olds and how to compose and decompose the number 10, if that makes sense. So we locally decide like what the essence of that standard is. Some New Jersey student learning standards, like those for English and language arts and math, indicate what skills and knowledge students should have by the end of a particular grade level. Other content areas like health, art, social studies are organized by grade level bands. So in ELA, at the end of each grade level, kids must be able to know and do certain things. But in social studies, for example, the grade levels or the standards are bundled together. By the end of 4th grade, they must know these things. By the end of 8th grade, by the end of 12th grade, they must know these things. So the way New Jersey health standards are written indicates students must have learned specific material by the end of grades 2, 5, 8, and 12. So the district currently has the latitude to organize the learning in age and developmentally appropriate ways. Mature content and topics should be taught at or near the last grade level in the band. Many of our health and PE teachers attended and continue participating in professional learning opportunities on these new standards. The health curriculum already teaches, and has for years, kind of to your point, many complex and sensitive topics, even before these revised standards that have come under scrutiny were published. I've never received an outpouring of concern about our health teachers and how they address these topics or on the health curriculum itself. Through our teachers' ongoing learning, I trust they'll continue to deliver content in developmentally appropriate and age-sensitive ways that we get to decide through conversation as a district. Our teachers' continued professional development will help drive instructional resources that we haven't yet picked that we will eventually use to teach the standards. As the curricula are written and as instructional resources are selected, we'll take a common sense approach and treat the curricula as living and breathing, meaning once the curriculum is implemented, we make changes based on whether it works or not. So instead of like curriculum living on a shelf for 5 years, as we implement it, we see what tweaks need to be made based on how students perform, and we make those alterations as necessary. Finally, we've always allowed, because the state of New Jersey has always allowed, for parents and guardians to opt their child out from any portion of the health curriculum if they feel that it conflicts with their sincerely held religious or moral beliefs. That happens frequently. This allowance posits parents and guardians, I think this is to your point, as their child's first and primary teachers. We support that, and we'll look to honor that as we also comply with the state mandates. Just to help separate generally fact from fiction and clarify the new standards to avoid misinterpretation, I encourage you, the public, to review the health standards on the NJDOE website, which will help the public understand exactly what the standards are calling for at each of those grade level bands. And we also, this addresses one of your questions specifically, we also post the curriculum to our website as we develop it. So on our website is all pre-K-12 curriculum in all the different content areas. So our website is another source of information you may wish to consult. But we'll continue, as this is sort of a hot topic, we'll continue to provide updates as we develop the curriculum, as we engage teachers in professional learning, and as we select those instructional resources.
Okay, thank you. I would just, real brief, if I may, I know my 5 minutes are up. If you guys would consider to put this in a referendum form and put it out to the taxpayers of Kenilworth to vote on this, to support it or not. There's not a lot of input. There's not a lot of input because people are probably afraid to come forward, I feel, number one. And there's a percentage that support it, and that's fine.
They can opt out, as Mr. Arlington said, right? So if a parent is not okay with this, they can opt out to not
At that class, right?
in that grade level, or if they feel that there's a religious conflict, they can opt out.
Right. But
And the information is on the website, right, as you said? Yeah, so they can, and case-by-case basis, and, everyone's always encouraged to email Superintendent Arlington with any, specific level questions.
And Carol, would you just, is it possible to put that out to the parents so that they might, you do your updates all the time, some of that information?
Sure.
To help them understand better if they have questions?
Happy to.
And on the website, Bob, like what Mr. Arlington just discussed?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can I at some time make an appointment, Mr. Arlington, and come and see you?
Yes, I take appointments, so you're
Because
welcome
at
to.
that time, I'd like to talk to you about the problem with the opting out, option. What
Sure.
It creates other problems, but I don't want to take any more.
Happy to connect.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, is there any other public comment at this
Can I
time?
just, real quick, sort of what Bob said, just want to mention that in Trenton, Senator Gopal, who was chairman of the State Education Committee, last week said he plans to introduce legislation that would increase transparency around curriculum decisions and give parents greater involvement in the lesson planning process. So I think that's something that people like to see, I would imagine. So Trenton is paying attention to this issue. I just want to mention that.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, if there's no more public comment, can I please have a motion to close the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second? Okay, motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Jankowicz. All those in favor of closing the meeting to the public, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it, motion's carried. The meeting is now closed to the public for comment. Mr. Canella, are we prepared to vote on resolutions?
Yes, we are. We have 51 resolutions on this evening's agenda. Do any of them need to be voted on separately? No? Okay. So this is for resolutions 1 through 51 on the agenda. Biner?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Drogan?
Yes.
Haberther?
Yes.
Jankowicz?
Yes.
Panici?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Ganella, is there a need to go into closed executive session this evening?
You do recall that we did send out a closed session packet, but some of those things did not transpire, so therefore we do not need to go into closed session this evening.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so,
Then I would make a motion to adjourn.
yes, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Haberther to adjourn the meeting. Everyone in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it, motion's carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming.